Oh, there we go. Fantastic. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Millionaires Are Made, where we believe you can be a millionaire in all six aspects of health. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. All right. Today, we're focusing on intellectual health and the topic of motivation. Very important topic, especially today in today's world, and a very hot topic in the coaching and self-help industry. If you haven't seen Millionaires Are Made, we share tips every week to improve your physical health, your mental health, your social health, your spiritual health, obviously your financial health, and intellectual health. Like the focus of today's show, we are the show built on the fundamental beliefs that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. At Millionaires Are Made, we are on a mission to teach the world how to grow into the healthiest version of themselves that they can be. And in the spirit of authenticity, all the guests, as well as myself, do not share our tips backstage. So what you're about to hear is straight from the source on their own journeys on how to improve their intellectual health with motivation. Audience, this is an interactive show, so please feel free to comment and ask questions. We do answer them live. One question we're going to ask you right now, if you're watching this, is we'd love to find out why you watch Millionaires Are Made. We love doing the show, and we love helping and growing and giving out all the knowledge in the world. But I'm curious why you guys are logging in every week to come watch us. Shoot us a comment or shoot us a DM and let us know. Thank you so much. If you want to be a guest on our show, we love guests. We love new guests. We love old guests. We love all sorts of guests. And we know that you have something to share. The link's being dropped right now for you to sign up. Please come be on our show and share your knowledge with the world. We'd love to have you. If there's something in your life that's a little tough right now, we always need new topic ideas. Maybe financially is rough, maybe socially you're having issues with some close friends. Send us a reason, send us a why. We will go out and find 3 awesome experts to come figure out and help give you some advice to maybe get through that. And obviously, if you like what we do, all the knowledge, bringing in experts and sharing it all with you, feel free to send stars, like, share, subscribe, whatever that is that you do. We'd love to have that as well. I do want to give a quick shout out to some of our followers. If you don't follow us, you'll never be shouted out on the show. On Facebook, Lori Velasco, you're awesome. Instagram, Carlos Silva, you're amazing. TikTok, Mario Medrano. And YouTube, Yasmin. Woohoo. If you like what we do as well, I do offer free one-on-one growth consultations. I love giving back. I love giving advice. I spend all my life learning and trying to grow, and I'd love to bring you in and teach you how I do it. We also have merchandise. Get your Millionaires Are Made t-shirt. We've been getting asked for that for a while, and we officially have it, so feel free to check the link that's being dropped right now. Go check it out. And before we really get into the show, we do have to thank some people that make this show possible. Our first sponsor is Samir Dasani, certified health and nutrition coach specializing in the prevention and reversal of many chronic and autoimmune diseases, including vitiligo. After years of his health declining and sucking, he went focused, got his degree, and decided that he wanted to learn traditional eating practices, which transformed his life, and now he shares all of his knowledge. Samir is amazing, super smart. He's getting another PhD right now in South Africa. Check his link out if you have any questions on chronic health. He's the guy to go to. Next up, we have Craig Sarkovsky, who is an amazing behaviorist and mentor. He focuses on entrepreneurs discovering their true identity, purpose, which helps them achieve growth in business as well as life. Entrepreneurship very commonly is a work-life balance that isn't very healthy, and Craig helps you go through that. Our next sponsor is an amazing woman, Sarah Jones, used to be buried in debt in a marriage that was failing, and also still had a bunch of money. Didn't know why it was all falling apart, went and followed one of the big name programs, made her even more depressed, and so she went out to figure out her own money issues. Now she goes and teaches everyone in the world. She's a financial coach, travels the U.S. in an RV with her husband in a happy marriage, and shares with people how to be financially savvy. Our next sponsor is Jesse Lewis, who is super entertaining, super hilarious, super fun to talk to. He's a comedian hypnotist available to your next show or event. Definitely need to talk to him. Check him out. He also has his own podcast. He's just a smart guy. Go check his link out. And That's all we've got for now. Thank you so much, sponsors, for keeping this show going. That means it's time to bring out our first guest. Yeehaw. Her name is Pearl. Pearl,
Hey,
who are
I am Pearl Sharonza. I am a say yes to your life coach. I help women put themselves first and overcome people pleasing by stepping into their shiro self, stronger, happier, empowered, radiant, and original, so that they can show up for the family and all the things they love to do 100% in presence.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Pearl, I've got a very important question for you. If I wanted to improve my intellectual health and motivation, what piece of advice would you give me?
So I would say to you, you've got to learn to set boundaries. So to do that, you've got to practice with the word no is a complete sentence. So you need to say it with the best smile on your face. So in the morning, get up and look in your mirror and just yell no to the mirror till you say it as so you're happy. And as you do that, then the boundaries you set, you will be able to step into those boundaries. You won't be held back by other people's things. You'll be stepping into your things that you want to accomplish in your life.
I love it. Boundaries to stay motivated. This actually, I feel like, has come up recently with Elon Musk. I feel like his ex-wife said that he's so successful, he's good at saying no to things that don't fit his vision, something along those lines. Um, so now you sound like Elon Musk. Thank you for that advice.
I don't know if that's good or bad these days.
I would say business-wise, it's good. You can't really argue with his accomplishments in business. Personally and politically, that's a whole other. That's tomorrow's episode. Tune in. Pearl, where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
Yeah, so in 2015, I was transitioning from just health and wellness coaching to becoming a life coach. And so I decided to take this course called Identity and Destiny. It was a 6-week course. At the end, I had to give my I am statement. I was still saying I was all my titles. Like when you asked me who I was back in the day, I would have said I'm a wife, mom, PTA volunteer, all these things. So I realized after 6 weeks, my I am statement was still stating the same thing. So I did an audit of my life at that point, and in that audit, I realized I was showing up for everyone and everything but me. So I decided I had to make a change. So one day, I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but one day I was walking into a meeting. I came across this beautiful rock on the ground. I picked it up, threw it in my pocket. At the end of this network meeting, somebody's like, "Hey, Pearl, I'm doing this fundraiser, and I think you'd be great. Would you help me?" My hand went by my pocket. I was like, "No." And I was like, "Oh," I said that like it wasn't the best no to come out, but I was like, I'm still alive. It didn't hurt. And she understood. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something. So that night I went home and I made the commitment to start saying no to something 3 times a day. So at the end of the day, I
Ooh,
had to, if I had not done so, I had to email, text, or call somebody to tell them no. Now, that's not easy because we think they're not going to like me. They think I'm selfish. They think I don't care. All that sabotaging thoughts that go in our head, right? But as I was doing that, I realized saying no, I became stronger at doing it because I was starting to say it with a smile on my face because it was allowing me to be happier in my life. It wasn't no longer having the midnight wake ups going, oh my gosh, I didn't call somebody. I didn't go pick up the cupcakes. I didn't do that email. I was sleeping through the night, less stress. I wasn't mad because my kid said, hey, I forgot my homework at home. Could you bring it to school? I wasn't stressing anymore. So as that happened, I became empowered to do things I hadn't been doing, like starting to do a podcast, starting to start coaching on this, writing books about the story and journey. And as I became empowered, I started walking into rooms and doing things in what I call my glow up. People would be like, "Hey, Pearl, like you look so different. Like, what's going on?" And I was radiantly walking into rooms. And as that happened, I started walking into originally what I wanted to be in my life. You know, growing up, I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. I thought I'm going to go teach and empower, young minds. And I jokingly tell my girlfriend, I waited many years. So I think some of those elementary women I would have had, I'm teaching them now to be who they want to be because we're not promised tomorrow. And so that happened in 2015. My oldest was a senior in high school and my youngest was a rising junior. And to be honest with you, Austin, it didn't hit me how important this was because if you're listening and you have kids at home, our kids are sponges. They soak up what we do. And you and I've talked before, we were sharing before, but I lost my oldest son 2.5 years ago in a tragic car accident. And the memory I have is that 2 days before he passed, he asked me, "Hey, mom, can you throw a bottle of water?" Him and my husband were working in the garage. I threw that water at him and he caught it and he said, "Not only, mom, have you figured out who the heck you are in your life, but you finally can throw something." Because he played football in high school and I could never throw him a football. And so 2 days later, when he passed, that's that memory I have. And so it's carried me forward. It's carried me forward to be present when my younger son got married this past October, to be present that I had to step back in my business a little bit to help my husband through some health stuff. I was able to do these things because I set boundaries in my life and I put myself first. And so if anybody's listening and you're struggling with that, that's what I love to like help women step in and say yes to you. Because if we're not here tomorrow, Austin, and if for whatever reason you're taken away from us, it's time for you to go to whoever, whatever you believe in, heaven for me. I want your family to be able to go to eulogy and say, "I saw Austin, go for walks. I saw Pearl sit in a front porch swing. I saw Pearl, take some time and just go on a staycation." Not that I saw Pearl never show up for me. I never got time. I wish I could have had more time, because here's the thing: your job or your business, if you don't have anything to carry on your business, it's going to close. Your job is going to fill up somebody in that seat. Your family's going to miss you. They're never going to get that time back. They're going to figure out how to do laundry, how to make their dinner and everything, but they're never going to figure out how to turn back time to get you back. So that's why I do what I do today, because I want people to say yes to their life.
I love it, Pearl. Amazing, amazing. All right, we're gonna move on to our next guest, and we'll bring you back out in the round robin. Okay.
Sounds good.
Next up, we have Eli, who I have personally known for quite a while, and was just on his podcast recently.
Yep.
Definitely go check that out. But let's talk more about Eli. Who are you?
All right. So, business standpoint, automated system strategist. Basically, I'm a CRM guy helping people with their follow up systems, also copywriting, especially email copy, because you can do some amazing stuff with that. On a personal level, let's see, I'm an archer. I like to go to Ren fairs and hang out at blues shows, things like that. So, those are things I like to do for fun.
Do you bring a
That's
bow
me.
to the Ren fairs?
I don't bring the bow to the bread and chair, but I happen to come home with one this time. So I have a brand new shiny longbow hanging in my living room right now.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a very important question for you, Eli. If I wanted to improve my intellectual health with motivation, what simple piece of advice would you give me?
It's funny that this topic came up for today, because this is, I've been sharing this a ton lately with a lot of people who've been asking me that kind of question. Start your day with gratitude. First thing in the morning, wake up, write down 5 things you're grateful for. The reason we want to do 5 things, specifically 5 things. The reason we want to do 5 things is because writing one thing's easy. Writing 2 things, yeah, that's still pretty easy. But as we get to that point where you got 5 things, and when I first started doing this exercise, I was coming over really like restarting my life from scratch, crazy bad stuff. You've heard the story of that one. And I really wasn't sure if I was going to make it. And I started doing this process, and you realize there's going to be days where 5 things are really, really hard. But what it does is it makes your brain think. It taxes your brain to make you think about the things that are all around you. Number one, to be grateful for, which is going to put you in a better mood. It's going to get you more motivated because you're happy about those things. So you're going to want more of those things. The second thing is it helps you also it opens up your mind to looking for other opportunities, looking for other things that are already sitting there in front of you, that when you're down and dirty in the muck, you're not paying attention to those things and you're bypassing them. But when you can start thinking about that positive stuff, the stuff that's happening to you right around the day, all of a sudden you start looking for those things, and that will motivate you to keep doing more things. Just so you know, this show was on my list of 5 this morning.
Ooh, one of your 5 things. Well, you're on the show's 5. We're glad to have you, Ethan. We're glad to have you. You talked a tiny bit about it. Let's go a little more in depth. Where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
So the funny thing is that I learned about gratitude as part of personal development years ago, decades ago even. It's been part of it the whole time. But that 5-thing process, I actually learned from somebody I know, Ryan Stewman, as part of the G Code. And
Okay, yeah.
it wasn't the details that I just explained. It was just that doing those 5 things every day, right? And I started doing that, and I started realizing, wait a minute, there's some magic to the 5 things specifically. Especially, like I said, when you're running that hard time where you're just not motivated to get up and don't want to do anything. Once you start exercising and hit that 5 things and make your brain work better, it changes the total game.
On the G Code, is it 5 things every day?
Yep.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I would say gratitude's almost on every personal development app in the world now.
Yeah.
I use one called Ulta Self, and I think it does 3 things, but 5, 3. I like your statement about 5. 2 is easy, 3 is easy, and 5 is more challenging. That's pretty good.
Oh, it can be real challenging.
I like to put I can't use the same one in the same week. So if I'm like, I'm thankful for this beautiful view. All right, can't use that for a week. That's all you get.
And I don't go that far. Because there are times where that is, something like that is the thing. My daughter is on the list almost every day. Every once in a while, something pops up to the top for that day that's different. But almost every other day, I can say 90% of the time, my daughter's on that list.
I probably would accept that. That sounds like something to be gratitude for.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Eli, we're going to move on to our last guest here, and then we'll bring it back out for the round robin.
Thank you, my friend.
Next up, we've got Menna. Menna, who are you?
I'm Menna, or MK. I am an athlete, engineering graduate, and a person who loves reading and books. So I started my own podcast for stories a year and a half ago, and I'm just enjoying the process.
Okay. All right. I've got a super important question for you. Let's hear your view. If I wanted to improve my intellectual health and motivation, what simple piece of advice would you give me?
I would say compare yourself to yourself. Don't get distracted by temptations and distractions and people around you, because we live in a rushed world where everything is at breakneck speed. You are pressurized to do everything everywhere all at once. Be this at that time, be this by this year, putting a lot on yourself. So just calming the storm down to things that mean to you, things that you feel like you're you while doing them, and prioritizing them in your daily life. I think that can help you and give you some sense of direction.
Nice. Very cool. I like it. All right. Where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
I learned that in my sports life, 19 years of doing karate, and I used to compare myself to everyone around me, wherever I go, whatever room I was in, until I realized that I can change that perspective. When my coach asked me to focus on myself one day at a competition, and that tweaking perspective helped me to realize that, focus on myself and just having this conversation with myself is way better than comparing myself to someone else.
Yeah, and there's something I try to remember. I don't even know where I learned this, but there's always someone better than you at every little thing. Even if you're an expert coffee drinker, there's a better coffee drinker out there. If you're an expert, kung fu, there's always someone better out there in just about everything. But if your kung fu 5 years ago and your kung fu now is better, then you're growing. That's great. Daily growth, constant and never-ending improvement. Awesome, Menna. Well, thank you so much. Are you ready for the round robin? Should we bring everyone else out?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. We'll bring Pearl and Eli out. All right. Real quick, audience, this is a great time for you to ask questions. We will ask them live, so go ahead and drop them in any of the comments wherever you're watching, and we'll get to them. By the way, Eli, someone did comment that one of our previous guests, Sam, is an archer, big-time archer. He's been on 3 or 4 episodes, so I guess you have to get to know him.
Definitely. Love an intro.
I think his business is Archery in Motion, but he's a professional archery teacher. Pretty cool. All right, let's start. Pearl, quickly refresh what your tip was for us.
So my tip for you is to wake up every morning, stand in front of the mirror, and yell no, like you just won $1 million, so that you can step into your boundaries you are creating in your life and become a shiro of your life.
Become a hero of your life. I like that. Wake up and yell no, and Eli's just wake up and say thanks. All right, all right. Eli, what are your thoughts on Pearl's tip?
I think it's a good one. It's one of those things. I'm still a big fan of start with the gratitude because that just kicks it off. But then going for the other one, I don't see a problem with it. For me personally, it's not something that I would do just because I want to start on that peaceful thing, and yelling no first thing in the morning is just not going to start the peace with me. But I do know people that do stuff like that, and it works very well for them.
What if it starts with peace because you get rid of some negativity, some bad customers, some bad partners, something like that?
You could definitely do that. I'm one of those. I like peace and quiet first thing in the morning, and yelling is just not part of that game.
Well, I have a weird feeling that this might end up on the challenge this week, and you might have to step out of your comfort zone, Eli. Mena, what are your thoughts on Pearl's tip?
I think it's a pretty good one. Saying no is a very important thing because we face a lot of maybe peer pressure around us. Feel like we should do things when we really shouldn't. You just do whatever you do, like the things that you feel you want to do. Maybe I can agree with Eli not shouting. I can gently just whisper to myself, saying no to the things that I don't want to do.
All right, Pearl, I'm with you. We're shouting.
Yeah,
Mena,
I
you
mean,
have to whisper
definitely.
quietly. Oh, that's funny. Eli, do you quickly want to refresh what your tip is for us?
Yeah. So my tip was to start the day very, very first thing, like literally before you get out of bed, write 5 things you're grateful for.
5 things you're grateful for. Awesome. Mena, what are your thoughts on his tip?
It's very important to practice gratitude in our daily lives, even for the smallest things. It doesn't have to be grandiose or something that, like a big one. Just the gratitude that you have the energy to wake up, the energy to drink water, the energy to do anything, to see your family every day. These things are the things that make your life. These things that really matter to you. They're the things that energize you. So these are the most beautiful things in the world, and you should practice gratitude for.
I love it. I love it. Pearl, what are your thoughts on Eli's tip?
I love that too because when I work with my clients, I talk about finding your joy, and it's not just, we make your list of 10 things that bring you joy, but it's not just waking up in the morning and, the sunset, and it's our kids, of course, but it's not like, what about your kids? What about waking up? Like, we break it down. You tell me that, I want to know, well, what about that brings joy? What about that brings you joy, right? And so I think it's important because then we take that list and we create the things we want to work on. So we have to be grateful that we have the opportunity to work on this joy list. And I think it's really, really important. I know that one of the questions popped up there is like, what do you do when you have that self-doubt? And that's when I work with my clients, I go back and I say, let's go back to the joy list because that's gonna fill your cup a little bit. Self-doubt, that's the judge in us telling us we don't have the right to be happy. But that's just a sabotaging thought. Our mind's our best friend and worst enemy. And if you can go to the part that says you deserve to be happy, you deserve to be grateful, you deserve to work on your joy list, that's going to help sage some of those self-doubts that come up. So I love a gratitude journal. I love it.
All right, let's. We got some audience questions. We'll get to them in just a sec. Let's do. Mena, can you repeat and refresh our memory on what your tip was?
Yeah, sure. My tip was don't compare yourself to someone else. Compare yourself to yourself, and don't get tempted by distractions, because motivation really comes inside out, internally. Because the only constant thing is you, not people around you, not places, not anything else except you. You sit with yourself 24/7. You know your own thoughts and emotions. So I think when you have this gentle, positive self-talk with yourself, it differs than when you start comparing and looking around the room, trying to compare yourself to someone else. This is not where you should start. I think you should start from within, and from within, it's going to manifest out to your life.
I love it. Let's go ahead, Eli. What's your thoughts on her tip?
I think it's great. That whole comparing yourself to yourself versus others is super, super powerful. I even use the example from being an archer. One thing I love about archery, one of the things that drew me to it was my competition is myself. Like, even if I'm competing in a tournament, which I have done, If I have a great day and I do better and I shoot better than I ever had before, even if somebody else wins, I'm excited because it's not about them, it's about me. I may not have gotten the cute little trophy to put on the wall, but that's not the important part. The important part is that I actually achieved a better score, or I got better than I was the day before. Because reality is, the end of the day, the goal is to be what can we do to be better than we were yesterday? That's it.
Yeah.
Better than what we did yesterday. Yeah, brick by brick every day. Pearl,
Yep.
you want to add to that and refresh on Mena's tip?
Yeah, and then the comparing ourselves to others, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. People come out and they give us this, this facade. We don't know really what's happening behind closed doors. Social media, people put things out there, and it's not like when you go behind closed doors, it's very different than the open door. And so that can give us that self-doubt. I'll give you a great example. A couple weeks ago, I launched my first book ever. I created it in 2 weeks, launched it on Amazon, and everything I was doing, I got to number 2, right? And I was like, number 2 is good. But the old me might have been like, well, I didn't get to number 1. Number 2 is pretty darn good for a book I did in less than 2 months. I'd never done anything on Amazon before. And I was like, that felt good, but if I went to compare myself to somebody else, I would have been like, oh, well, what did I do wrong? I did everything I could do the best of my ability. And at the end of the day, we are our best friend. And like you said, we're with ourselves 24/7. So be grateful. Like we're all saying here, be grateful for what we have. Life's not a remote. You can't rewind it. Learn what you can do and change it, what you can do the next thing.
Awesome. I love it. Life is not a remote. No rewind. All right. We're going to start some questions from the audience. We got Shutterbug in here. How do you tackle moments of self-doubt when your motivation is at its lowest? Ooh, man, that's a life question right there.
Yeah, I think I'll take that one. I think do something that brings you joy, right? That joy list. But like music is my big thing. I will blast music and it just sort of lifts me up, right? But also don't be afraid to ask for help, a mentor or somebody that's been there before and gone through something. Self-doubt, it's sort of like fear. It's false evidence appearing real. If we let it pull into us, it will bring us down the rabbit hole. But don't be afraid of what that what is that, address what it is, and then find something that's going to motivate you, like a light bulb, like a light switch. Turn something on that changes it. Because I know for me, like the way I grew up and disciplined my kids was very much like how I grew up. My kids would say something, you sound like grandma and grandpa, and that would start that self-doubt. So I had to create a different approach. So we create a word. We're big Bills fans, so we would say buffalo, and then that was like, okay, so what about that made you feel that way? So then I didn't have that doubt that I wasn't being a good parent.
I love it. Awesome. We'll move on to another question here. We got a few lined up. Lilith says, do you think motivation is more about mindset or action? Can one exist without the other?
I'll take it. Absolutely not. They cannot exist with one without the other. You've got to have both. Mindset will only take you so far. We always talk about like the law of attraction, whether you believe it or not. You can't just sit there on your couch all day thinking about making $1 million and not actually take action behind it, because you just won't get results. And on the flip side, you can take a lot of action, but if you don't have intention and a direction to take that action, you will also be spinning your wheels and not get results. So you've got to have both pieces. Now, some days one will be higher than the other. Maybe the mindset is kind of in the gutter for the day, but if you just focus on taking an action one little step at a time, there's a great video. I think it's General McAdams, I think is his name, that talks about making your bed first thing in the morning. And it's a commencement speech that he did. And it was about start your day with a win, make your bed every day. And things like that, even as simple as that, that's an action that you can do, which will start the ball rolling for the other stuff.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Pearl?
No, I totally agree. You have to have both, because you can sit there and go, my mindset is like, you give a great example. I'm gonna achieve this goal. Well, unless you're taking action, it's just a thought. It doesn't become real. So you have to put things into action. You have to take that first step, find out what it is, do one thing and get it started.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Next question from Fresh Belief Adventures. Is motivation something you're just born with? Dun dun dun.
I
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I would agree with Eli.
Yeah, I think it's an environmental thing. We are taught to be motivated, and we are taught what to be motivated about. So some people are motivated by the next Big Bang Theory TV show, and some people are motivated by what can I contribute to the world, and some people are motivated by owning a castle, which happens to be one of my motivations. So you've got that variety, but you have to. I think that environment of giving you what your options are lets your brain think and be creative, because people have a hard time thinking in a vacuum. They have to have something to start. And so whatever that seed is that gets planted, that's an environmental thing. That's the people that you're around, what you see other people doing, whether it be family, whether it be social media. Really, it's you get influenced by everything that's around you. But I think that's where motivation starts, and then it can snowball from there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like I'm motivated by you telling me that I can't do something. That motivates me. I'm like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I
There you
got
go.
this, right?
That's a
So
good one.
that's me. And like you said too, like I grew up in an environment where there was no communication, and we are somewhat a product of our environment. My parents weren't motivated by many things, so I didn't have that. I created that on my own. How I did it on my own, it was just like a mindset. I just like I want to have fun. I just, so whatever could bring me fun, but it truly is like, what's that motivation? Like I'm getting ready to have my ninth retreat this year and brought it back home to my home city of Tampa, Florida. And I'm like, I want to be motivated to show people that I'm still doing this and we're going to have the best one ever. And so I'm doing things that keep us focused on that fun theme. So you got to have something. It's like having a carrot in front of you, something you can work to that motivates you.
Now, motivation. Is there a way it can be a carrot and a stick?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is. And people are motivated differently. Is a great example. Like Pearl just gave a perfect example of that. She's motivated by somebody saying she can't do anything or can't do something. So
Right,
by
right.
that's her motivation. For me, my motivation is seeing when somebody did something and going, I kind of like that. I want to do that too. And that's where my motivation comes to me. The carrot doesn't really appeal to me. If somebody tries to tell me I can't do anything, my first response is piss off. And I'll just, and whether I want to do it or not is the answer. That's where I go. So that's everybody's motivation is different and that's a little bit more on how that person is wired. But I personally believe that it can be either the carrot or the stick.
So one thing, I only did 75 hard once. I keep saying I need to do it again. But when I did 75 hard, and then that was like 3.5 years ago. I've been sober ever since, and a lot of it was a little bit of both. So the only way I got through that thing was a group chat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to not take a picture, and then everyone talks shit to you. You're an idiot, this or that. I'm eating a burger. Screw this thing. I'm doing it. Everyone talks crap. But then there's a lot of positivity too. Like, okay, guys, I did, day 32. I just did everything. And it's only 5 p.m. And everyone's like, yeah, hell yeah. So, for me, a lot of motivation ends up being external. If it was just for me, I don't know. I just lay on the beach in my island and just hang out all day. But when other people are, I guess, counting on me, or when I know that things I do can make their life simpler or better, I think that is a lot of where my motivation comes from. I think I'm a very external. So I guess
Yeah.
my question is, how do you find out what motivates you, your team, your people, your partner, with relationships? Where do you figure that out? And is it something that you think people innately know about themselves, or is it something that you got to learn?
So when I met my husband, I was 19 years old. I grew up in a household where there's no communication. And so all I knew is when they argued, they didn't talk to one another. And then you came home, everything was fine. You had no clue what they did.
Mhm.
So when I met my husband, like he's an Italian, talks everything out, all that great stuff that Italians are. So if we would have a disagreement or something, I would be like shut down. And he would like, well, tell me about it. I'm like, don't talk to me. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Just leave me alone. So he would start having the conversation for me, you guys. And I would be like, I would not have said that to you. This is what I would have said, right? So it opened up the communication. So having people around you that can help you work through some of that stuff has been really powerful. If he was sitting here now, he'd tell you, yeah, I can't get her to shut up now about it. But and then that actually has grown for us about our communication even further, is that it's grown now where we say, if I have something on my mind, and we're not always in a space to receive or talk about something. So we've created this thing is like, hey, I have something on my mind. Can we talk? And if the answer is, are you open to receiving? I'm sorry. And if we're not open to receiving, we have a commitment that we can say no, with the understanding that we have to talk within 24 hours. And typically what happens in 24 hours, you kind of work it out on your own. You're good. And you're just like, oh, it's all good. This is what was on my mind. I figured it out. Right. And if not, you have time to at least be emotionally prepared, because we could be having a long day and then we're not prepared. So, we don't hear what we need to hear. We hear what we think we want to hear.
Awesome. I love it. All right, guys, we're going to have to wrap this up. Mena did have to leave early. We didn't know about that. So I knew we were going to go a little long, and we're going to end with 2. And that's just how life is. So we need to come up with our daily challenge. This is a task or series of tasks that takes less than 5 minutes a day, costs $0, and is available to anyone in the world from Japan to Iceland, that helps us improve our intellectual health with motivation. What thoughts or ideas do you guys have?
I'm going to challenge Eli. I'm just going to put it out there. You knew it was coming, Austin. I'm going to challenge you to get up every morning, look in the mirror, and you don't have to scream. Like, you don't need to wake up your partner or anybody in the house, but I just want you to wake up in the mirror and say, no, I'm not going to do that. Or just yell no, so that you can understand no is a complete sentence. Because we think we have to put the buts and everything explanation with it. So that's what I'm going to challenge you with.
Yeah. It might be a power whisper, but we'll give it a try.
I got it. You heard him, Austin.
All right. So that'll take like 30 seconds. What else we got to do for motivation? I mean, yelling no is going to be a good thing. I think gratitude. Sorry, Eli, I'm gonna nix that, because we do gratitude, I feel like, once a month between spiritual health and mental health.
Okay.
Gratitude, our audience has done that all the time. Let's think of something else that's a little more motivating. Maybe we text a friend and motivate them.
That's actually where I was going to go with it is. And I would say not even necessarily text, but text is an option. You can send a message, but once a day, just pick up a phone and call somebody that you are appreciative of, that has been there to support you, and just say, hey, just in the mood to call and say thank you. And keep it simple. It'll take you less than 5 minutes. You don't have to make it long, but the different thing of just letting them know, because guess what? That's going to help them have a better day as well.
Awesome. All right. So we've got the daily challenge, and we'll wrap this up here real quick. We're going to wake up and we're going to yell no, or power whisper if you so. We're going to do it 10 times. And then I'm going to try to do this.
I'm going to coin that term, by the way.
Power whisper. And we're going to call a friend and just tell them, you're doing awesome. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Essentially just a call, give them some motivation. You don't even have to know what you're talking about. You just say, you're awesome. You're killing it. Don't stop. Let's go.
Yep.
And motivate a friend. It could be a coworker. No, let's keep that out. Let's do it a friend, someone you don't work with. Mm-hmm. It could be a family member, someone like that, but someone you don't work with. All right. If that sounds good to you guys, then I'm going to put you guys backstage and wrap up the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Audience, thank you so much for your questions. We're going to let Pearl and Eli hop in the back there real quick. I have bad news, because I do have to, we got 2 or 3 more sponsors. Some of our last minute sponsors, we got to go. Thank you so much, Jeremy Roderick. He's author of Lead Like a King. Oh, this is awesome. So Jeremy is now launching his course and book. If you are having, marital problems or any kind of relationship problems, Jeremy's been doing this for like 30 years. Lead Like a King is a book he's just launched. You should check it out. $30 could save your life and avoid a divorce. It's pretty powerful. He's got his courses and everything going too. One of the smartest guys in the world. If you're tired of walking on eggshells and ready to take command of your life, go grab the copy, not coffee. Apparently I need coffee. And our last sponsor here is Cam Knight, a strategic thinker who turned career uncertainty into a path of mastery. got laid off, went and tackled the CPA exam and one of the biggest certifications, and mastered learning techniques like mind mapping and speed reading. His success proved intelligence is a skill, not a gift. So if you feel like you might not be as intelligent as you want, go check out Chem Knight. And audience, man, you guys did awesome. Great questions. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully you guys